Good morning to every good morning to every participants and you meet with us today. Good morning to every participants and Yunri connected with us today. I'm Shri Shukla from Department of Commerce on behalf of Vipra Mahavidyalaya welcomes our guest of honor and all these speakers and all the participants on the second day of webinar on the topic Indigenous Evolution of Health arising during pandemic with special reference to yoga. Now, I would like to brief about today's schedule, which is we have four technical sessions today, starting with the Saraswati Vandana, the part. Technical session is taken up by going to be taken by the Laila, and second technical session will be taken by the speaker Dr. Vikas Mishra. Then the third and the fourth session is dedicated for from the respondent as well as participants. Then we'll have vote of thanks and concluding thought of today's session. So today we are again gathered here at the key platform after yesterday's grand inauguration ceremony of the international webinar at the Silver Jubilee year, which was very auspicious and glorious by the Honorable Governor Sushri Ansuya Uike and the luminaries collaborated with us yesterday. So, going forward, let's start today's session for which with the tracing and blessing of our Master, for which I would like to request our technical team for this session. Vandana, to technical team. Okay, so after the Saraswati Vandana, as we are having the title of our international webinar related to reference to yoga. So let's start our ceremony with yoga part, and for which I would like to invite Dr. Ranjana Mishra, professor and convener of the international webinar. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Nidhi ma'am. विप्र कला वाणिज्य एवं शारीरिक शिक्षा महाविद्यालय द्वारा रजत जयंती वर्ष में आयोजित 3 दिवसीय अंतर्राष्ट्रीय वेबिनार में आप सभी का हृदय से स्वागत एवं अभिनंदन। सर्वप्रथम मैं हमारे शिक्षण समिति के अध्यक्ष महोदय श्री ज्ञानेश शर्मा जी एवं हमारी मातृ स्वरूपा उषा दुबे मैम एवं कुशल नेतृत्व के साथ इस महाविद्यालय का संचालन करने वाले ओजस्वी डॉक्टर ज्ञानेश शर्मा, डॉक्टर मेघेश तिवारी जी, प्राचार्य महोदय, आप सभी का मैं हृदय से स्वागत एवं अभिनंदन करती हूँ। साथ ही आज के जो हमारे वक्तागण हैं उनका मैं हृदय से स्वागत करती हूँ। साथ ही हमारे महाविद्यालय के सभी प्राध्यापक गण एवं अन्य प्रतिभागी गण, आप सभी का हृदय से स्वागत एवं अभिनंदन। आइए आज हम शांति पाठ के साथ अपने द्वितीय दिवस के प्रथम सत्र का शुभारंभ करेंगे। पहले ओम मंत्र का उच्चारण करते हुए आंखें बंद, सजगता पूरे शरीर पर, शरीर को पूरी तरह शांत, शिथिल एवं तनाव मुक्त करते हुए स्पाइन सीधी रहे। 3 बार लंबी गहरी श्वास लेकर ओम मंत्र का उच्चारण करेंगे। शांति पाठ। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनस्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। शांति पाठ के पश्चात हमारा आज का सत्र प्रारंभ हो रहा है। मैं निधि मैम को आमंत्रित करती हूँ, आगे के कार्यक्रम की रूपरेखा आपको बताएं।
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your yoga part. Now, we are about to start our technical session. As I have already discussed with you all that we have 4 technical sessions. First is dedicated to our guest speakers, and the another 2, the last 2, that is 3rd and 4th, is dedicated for our paper presentation by the research scholars and the participants. So let's start with our first technical session. For which I would like to invite and welcome our guest speaker, Ms. Leila, who is certified yoga teacher from Vancouver Island, Canada, and she is having the specialization in Hatha Yoga, Vinasaya, Bikram Yoga, Yin Yoga, and meditation. She has also got the teaching process, obtained the teaching process from the brilliant teachers such as Dr. Caroline and Isa. Welcome, ma'am. And she is going to deal with the topic transform way of living. Yoga and meditation connecting with source is the solution during and post pandemic. Welcome, Leila ma'am.
Hi, thank you so much. It's so nice to be here. Yeah, I'm very honored to share my experience with yoga and meditation and just connecting with source, and how that can, I feel, is really the ultimate way to overcome all illness and all basically anything that's holding you back from living your truth and feeling the healthiest that you can be. So I will share my screen with you guys now. So yeah, I would like to start with just kind of explaining where my learnings come from. I'm a student of A Course in Miracles, which is a very wonderful course. And I've been learning a lot about this. It has an Egyptian mysticism translation on the course. So we kind of reinterpret the A Course in Miracles through ancient Egypt teachings, and it's a really beautiful application for a yoga practice as well as a meditation practice. And it's really about self-realization, and it's also about just the game of life and how that really reveals overcoming illness, overcoming fear, especially, and creating your own reality. Can you guys hear me? Do I still sound okay?
Yes, ma'am. You're properly audible and visual to us. In fact, your presentation is visual to us.
All right. So yeah, the game of life is about self-realization and awakening to the reality of love as the truth and the creative power of thought. So in Egyptian mysticism, in A Course in Miracles, we refer to God as basically being thought. So all the thoughts that we're thinking are actually the fuel of creating our reality. So when we're doing our yoga practice and we're meditating, we're putting our thoughts out into the world, and then our circumstances and our events are reflecting our thoughts back to us. And we're really a big part of creating our reality. We're not subject to what happens outside of us. We are all a perfect download of God, and we are all whole, perfect, and complete in truth. So that's a really powerful statement to look at. We are all a perfect download of God. So we can decide to focus on our ego and identifying ourselves as being a body and creating our life from that place, having thoughts of being limited to the body, especially when we're going through illness. If we identify that illness, we're going to be creating those truths and those realities. Whereas if we identify as a perfect download of God, we're going to be aligned with that energy, and that is going to be able to flow through us, and we're going to attract the health and wellness that is the truth of who we are in our natural state. There's only one problem and one solution, and that is who I say I am, and also who I say I am. So again, I can say that I am the body, I can say I am the ego, and that's going to put me in a place of limitation, of fear, doubt, negativity, illness. That's going to put me on the room on the right, is what we say in Egyptian mysticism. The room on the right is the ego, and where we're completely disconnected from God. Or I can say I am the image and likeness of God, which is the room way down on the left, and that is in Egyptian mysticism where we are truly aligned with our inner being. So we might say there are a million problems out there, but really it's just the same manifestation of just saying that I'm the ego. So in Egyptian mysticism, we say basically there's only one solution to that, and it's just identifying as God and as the true self, and allowing that higher power to work through me instead of miscreating suffering and miscreating illness and pain. I may rise above all suffering, sickness, pain, and illusion by the guidance of my true self. So that really means becoming a vessel for the higher self and the spirit and God, whatever you want to call it, to come through me and to allow the inspiration and ideas and intelligence of that higher power to be my expression, to be my decision making, and to be present with me in my awareness. So God is within me, and I share this reality and truth with everyone. So really that is just the acknowledgement that we have this oneness consciousness, this Christ consciousness that is the true self that is shared with everyone. So the whole perfect and complete self is true about everyone that I meet. It's not unique to one person and then not true for the other, but it's the shared consciousness that is the ultimate truth in everyone. And I see myself in everyone because we all share that consciousness. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the universal laws and how it applies to creating your reality, and that can be applied to your yoga practice, or coming out of fear, coming out of, being afraid of the COVID-19 situation, and just transmuting all that energy so that you can create the reality that you really desire. So the first universal law is the law of mentalism. All is mind, and thought, the most powerful force in the universe, is the fuel of the mind. But just like I was speaking before, all healing happens within the mind. So in A Course in Miracles, we really stress about that. All healing is possible in the present moment, and all healing occurs in the mind. So when we're looking at the body and we're noticing tension or weakness, it's really just a mental construct that we've projected into the body. And when we're looking at it from a place of being a creator, from a place of being the image and likeness of God, what needs to be corrected there is actually the mind and not the body. So as soon as we can correct that thought pattern in the mind, whatever belief we're holding on to, is going to be reflected into the body as well. The thoughts and beliefs I hold on to, whether I'm conscious of them or not, are being outpictured into the world that I see. So I may not even be fully aware of a lot of the beliefs that I'm holding in my mind. I might have had these beliefs in a past life. It might have been from who knows how long ago, and it's still embedded in my consciousness. So my higher self will let me know that I'm holding on to these beliefs by, giving me the circumstances to show that. So maybe I'm attracting disease, or I'm attracting a certain kind of fear. Those are all beliefs that are showing me that I'm still holding on to guilt or fear that I need to undo with the help of the higher power, so that all my thoughts ultimately will be outpictured into a reality that are in alignment with my true self, and that is free of fear and free of guilt. And so the second law, the universal law, is the law of correspondence, which is as above, so below, as within, so without, as without, so within. So basically, if God is not sick, then I am also not sick. If God is joyful and happy, I am also joyful and happy. There's this constant communication and connection that we have to the physical and mental and spiritual planes. So there's this oneness, this circular harmony that we're really sharing and always a part of. My outer world experience attests to my inner world. So I'm basically co-creating with the universe whatever I'm experiencing within myself. If it's something I'm not aware of, or if it's something that I am aware of, I'm going to see that happening in front of me. There's no separation in truth. There's only oneness. So I might think that, my colleagues or my friends or my family are separate from me, and that they have their own experience and they have nothing to do with my belief system. But really, when I'm looking at it through oneness consciousness, it has everything to do with my belief system. It could be from a past life, it could be from this lifetime, but there is no separation there. There's a saying we use in A Course in Miracles, which is, there's nobody else out there. So everybody that I meet is truly a reflection of my belief system, and we're sharing that, we're learning it from each other. And the third universal law is the law of vibration. So since you can consciously choose your thoughts, you can intentionally increase the rate of vibration of your mental frequency by thinking more positive thoughts of a higher frequency. So this is really powerful, especially when we're dealing with challenges that are causing a lot of stress, and then that stress is causing us to make really negative decisions. We can choose our thoughts, but we need the assistance of the higher power to help us make those thoughts. So we can decide to give our willingness over to the Holy Spirit, and just that choice to surrender our fear, our guilt over to a higher power will give us the opportunity to change our thoughts and then change the rate of our vibration to a higher frequency. So it's pretty much like if I have a negative magnet in my consciousness, say I feel afraid that I'm going to get COVID-19, say there's some fear about that there, and I'm holding on to that belief, and that fear is attracting these negative circumstances, I can ask the higher power to move through me and help me undo these fearful beliefs and help me to reinterpret my life so that I can remove that magnet of attraction and vibration and be free of those thoughts completely. And that way I won't attract the sickness. I won't attract any negative attack on my body and my mind. The person in front of me has to be in the same vibrational frequency as me for us to be in a shared space. So as I'm pulling out these negative magnets from my consciousness and I'm becoming aware of these beliefs that I'm holding on to, the people in front of me will attest to that truth and that work that I've done. So if my brothers or my sisters start to say, I feel really clear, or I feel really confident in myself, or I've let go of these fears, that's just a reflection of where my consciousness is at. And I'm basically seeing that in the people in front of me. They're showing me where my awareness is at this point. There's so much we can do in terms of changing the mind, but we do need that assistance from the higher power. We're never creating alone. We're never doing this work by ourselves. We're always doing it with the higher power. We're always doing it in meditation. So I find that a really powerful way to practice meditation and to do this work for these first 3 laws that I've talked about is to be still and to focus on your breath and just allow yourself to look at all of your fears, look at all of the guilt that you're holding on to, and then start to become grateful for being able to see what you're afraid of. So being grateful for it allows you to transmute that energy. And then you can invite the higher power to move through you and allow those thoughts to be undone. You could say, Holy Spirit, please enter into my awareness and help me remove these fears, help me remove this guilt from my consciousness so that I can be free of this negative, low vibration. So going into meditation, finding that connection with the higher power, expressing gratitude, and then just allowing the process to unfold from there. The next law is the law of polarity. So basically, we can either identify as the ego, which is also the body, or we can identify as God. And when we're identified as the ego, like I said before, we're in the room way down on the right. And in that space, we're angry, we're fearful, we're miscreating and just seeing that negative energy in front of us. And we can never be successful when we're creating from our ego space. The ego is seek and do not find. And in the opposite room, the left side, is the image and likeness of God. So it's the complete opposite of that. It's love, purity, kindness, joy, gratitude, love, praise. And in that space, we can co-create with the universe and really see the abundance and the joy come towards us like a magnet. We can draw the energy into our circumstances and really feel that connection with the higher power. So in any moment, I can choose to identify as just my body, just my ego. I can choose to believe that people are all separate from me. Or I can choose to identify as God and see the oneness and allow that intelligence to slowly work through me. This is a big thing to explore self-realization through meditation, through yoga practice, to really see what moment am I identifying as my ego versus what moment am I identifying as God. And it can fluctuate a lot, and that's natural and it's normal. It's part of being in this game of life. It's part of just growing and expanding your awareness. So it's definitely a process, but just a little bit of willingness to continue to expand and to continue to evolve will give you the energy that you need to really be successful. Whenever I seek the truth, I cannot fail. So I am not the body, I am spirit. The body's 5 senses are not able to perceive the qualities of spirit. Spirit doesn't see the ego, spirit doesn't see any of the negative stuff on the ego side. So when I'm looking at myself and I'm looking at others, it's wise to look beyond the body. And so if somebody says, don't judge a book by its cover, it's pretty similar. You don't judge yourself based on the limitations of your body. So you can let that go and remember and allow yourself to feel that I am spirit, as above, so below. That's what we mentioned before. I am the spiritual intelligence. I'm able to be a channel, a vessel for that higher power to speak through me, to make my decisions for me, as long as I give my willingness over to spirit. Everything has its pair of opposites and duality. The duality is a natural process. It's, again, like I said before, part of how we master the game of life is to experience what love is not, so that we remember what love is. A Course in Miracles mentions that we never not know what love is, because we are love. That's what we're made of. But we're undoing all the things that are in the way of that understanding and that connection. So we're learning about what love is not. We're learning about what the ego is and what the limitations are. And we're learning how to create these diseases and these fears, so that we can remember the opposite of that, what love truly is. And then once we get to a certain level of awareness and a certain level of consciousness, really when we're the image. Oh, sorry. Am I still clear?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So once we get to a certain level of consciousness, we are basically completely free of duality, and we're in this state of oneness. And when we're in that place, there is no opposite to love. Love is a law with no opposite. It is just the truth. It is pure. There's no disease. There's no pain. There's no suffering. We're just in that complete state of oneness, in that heavenly state where we're truly on the left. We're the image and likeness of God. And the fifth law of the universe is the law of rhythm. So this universal law is evidenced in the waves of the ocean, in the rise and fall of empires, in business cycles, in the swing of your thoughts from being positive to negative, and in your personal successes and failures. So we go through this natural swing where we might have like a really powerful moment and we feel like God and we feel connected. And then we can also swing way back on the right side and we feel like the ego, we feel limited. And it's just an acknowledgement that it's very normal, but it doesn't mean that we have to agree with that negative swing. So we can be perhaps in a place of stress and fear, but we don't have to fully agree with that. So I accept everything as it is and graciously stay connected and identified as the image and likeness of God when I feel the swing of the pendulum transition to negative thoughts. So it's just something to accept as we're going through self-realization, as we're learning to heal our mind of pain and suffering, that sometimes the pendulum is going to swing that way, but we can still stay grounded and still be in a state of recognition and not just dissociate from, now I'm really fearful, I've messed up, or I'm never going to make it. We can just stay grounded and allow the natural flow of the law of rhythm to occur. And the sixth law of the universe is the law of cause and effect. So every effect you see in your outside or physical world has a very specific cause, which has its origin in your inner or mental world. So it's kind of interesting to have this perspective on just the whole pandemic of perhaps being a reflection of whatever is going on inside of me. COVID-19, whatever it means to me, whatever activates me about this pandemic, whether it's, from the vaccine to how people are getting affected, whatever activates me about COVID-19 and the pandemic is showing me what I'm holding on the inside. And it might not be something that I'm aware of. It might not be something that I've done in this current lifetime that's all of a sudden being shown to me now. It doesn't matter if I'm conscious of it or not. It is still showing me what my inner or mental world is like. So really the results of my outer world are not the cause of why I'm feeling stress. It's really the opposite. And just owning that accountability and responsibility is, again, giving your willingness over to the higher power, giving your willingness over to your higher self, and just finding that connection to, every time that I am challenged by something that scares me, it's an opportunity for me to heal and let go of those beliefs and heal my body from my mind, from my inner world, and not give it over to something that makes me feel disempowered instead. So that's a law that I feel is very powerful, similar to the law of consequence. It can be very, very intimidating, I think, at first, but again, through meditation, we can go there, we can find that place of stillness, we can call in the Holy Spirit to pull out any negative belief systems that we have in our mind so that we can be free of these effects that are in the outside world and really just create from the inside and see that we're responsible, we're accountable for the world that we see outside. And then the seventh law of the universe is the law of gender. Everything has its masculine and feminine properties. So masculine, of course, not necessarily meaning male, feminine, not necessarily meaning female, but just everything has its masculine and feminine properties because spirit is both masculine and feminine. And it's a way to just accept and understand the different energies and qualities in the world that I see and in the way that I am. So, for example, if you're role playing as a female, you'll have a masculine operating system. So you'll have qualities of maybe like multitasking, self-reliance, like being very active, looking after children, having that energy. If you're role playing as a male, you're most likely going to have that feminine operating system where you have your man cave, you like to go inward, you're not a multitasker. So we all have those qualities and we share them both. So among the outward expressions of feminine qualities, which are intuition, introversion, and gentleness, and of the masculine qualities are logic, intellect, and self-reliance. Embrace the masculine and feminine qualities as a sacred dance of energies being expressed. So allow it to when you're doing your healing work, for example, in meditation, allow those energies to just come to you in meditation, like really embrace it. Sometimes, we want to be quiet and that's part of our healing. We want to go inward. I think that's really helpful for stress to just be quiet sometimes, be in your man cave, go inward and just allow that. And then other days we might be more expressive when we want to talk about our feelings or we want to express our energy from the inside to get that energy out. And that's beautiful and part of the healing process and can help dissipate fear and dissipate stress. And then the seed energy is masculine and the soil energy is feminine. So this is very specific to the law of gender. The seed energy is basically the simple energy with a pattern inside of it. And the soil energy is basically the context, the holding space for the seed to be planted in. So as we are practicing our meditation or practicing yoga, we're holding context for our experience. So if I'm going to go into my yoga practice with the thoughts of, I'm here to heal, I'm here to be present, I'm here to be a vessel for my higher self to move through me, I'm holding context for the intention of being successful. That seed of intention is going to grow and be really healthy. If I'm going to enter my yoga practice with judgment and doubt and with fear and not really feeling like I'm meant to be here right now, I'm creating that reality as well. And that seed of intention is being planted in that soil, and that's what's going to be of that intention. So I think it's really important to approach your yoga practice and your meditation practice, just being aware of what are you contexting, what are you, what intentions are you putting into that soil, and really connect to that as you're going in deep and doing this healing work. So to be a little more specific on the healing work, circle it up and recognize projection, mirroring, and forgiveness. So in A Course in Miracles, we have a very non-traditional definition of forgiveness. So basically that means to give forth thoughts and beliefs that don't serve you anymore. Yeah, I saw that comment, thank you. Yeah, forgiveness, I feel like in A Course in Miracles is so powerful and it's very, very different. It's not the sort of generalized definition that I've seen in my life of forgiveness, where you think of it as forgiving others and, kind of like blaming others for your pain and then forgiving them later. It's more about like what goes around comes around. What can happen to me is only what I gave first. So even if it's in a lifetime, if I was a thief in another lifetime, and I gave that energy, it's going to come around to me again. So I'm going to forgive that or give it forth with the help of the Holy Spirit and pull that magnet out of my consciousness so I don't continue to attract that energy. So blaming others, blaming the body and the outside world for the cause of my suffering and my joy is what victimization is, which is the complete opposite approach to forgiveness, according to A Course in Miracles. So to blame others and to blame the body for being sick or to blame the body for being incompetent is something that I can release from my consciousness. If I don't want to feel disempowered, if I don't want to feel afraid, I can go within and instead ask the Holy Spirit to help me recognize, like, why am I blaming myself? Why am I viewing my body this way? I can give my willingness over to that and then release myself from being a victim. It is a truth that is shared often in this course that you can't be God and you can't be a victim at the same time. So we're either one or the other. We're either the ego on the right or we're God on the left. We cannot be a victim. We cannot. So mirroring the circumstances I experience and the people I meet reflect my inner world's thoughts and beliefs. So basically, I was speaking about this the whole time. It's just another clear definition of mirroring. So everybody in front of me is mirroring my beliefs, it's mirroring my level of consciousness, my awareness, my intelligence. They're highly paid angels that are, in front of me to show me where I'm at. So why would I blame them? Even COVID-19, why would I blame COVID-19 for disempowering me or taking me my peace? Because that's, again, being a victim. That's not being God. That's not taking that higher self or stepping into that power. I can instead see it as this circumstance of COVID-19 is showing me that I'm holding on to some kind of fear. If I don't know what it is yet, if I don't know what the fear is yet, I can always ask. I can always go inside in meditation and I can ask for it to be revealed. I can say, higher self, please reveal to me what it is about this circumstance of COVID-19 that I'm holding on to. What do I need to learn about it so that I can literally change the world from the inside out? My body is a mirror of the thoughts and beliefs I hold in my mind. So I find it really interesting in yoga when we're doing a practice or we're doing a certain posture and that posture reveals pain. Perhaps it's like tight hamstrings, it could be like a sore back. That is just another mirror of a certain thought or belief pattern that I'm holding on to. So I can, again, use that as information instead of being a victim of that. I can use it as information to show me, like, what healing do I need to approach the Holy Spirit with next time in my meditation. I've had to deal with some thoughts patterns that I had around my hips and my hamstrings in my practice. So instead of seeing it as like, oh, my body is just made this way, I'm limited because of my body, I instead was just like, well, I'm going to meditate and I'm going to give this forth, this belief of being limited. I'm going to allow the higher intelligence to tell me what it means and to tell me what to do about it. And now, of course, my body is in a completely different shape and it's healed. And that was my calling for that particular experience. So the body is truly a mirror for whatever I'm holding on to, and I can empower myself through this work. I don't have to feel, again, victimized about it. And then the ultimate healing that happens in the mind, again, is forgiveness. So to remove a belief from my consciousness that is attracting negative circumstances and events with the help of the Holy Spirit. So in Egyptian mysticism, we say the Holy Spirit is the feminine energy. So it's like the active version of God, the voice of God. And we say it is also Isis. So whenever I'm, again, doing the forgiveness work, I'm looking at what did I do in a past life that I'm attracting in this life now. So again, if I was a thief, maybe I've been attracting people stealing from me. So I'm going to ask the Holy Spirit to help me forgive myself for stealing. And then also to ask the Holy Spirit to help me forgive myself for being angry about stealing. So there's so much work we can do to get deep into that healing and to allow the higher power to remove those negative thoughts from our mind. A belief may be planted deep within my consciousness from a past life that I'm not aware of. So quite often when we're having meetings with A Course in Miracles, people will say, well, I'm attracting, so much fear and negativity, and I don't remember ever thinking that in this lifetime. It doesn't sound like me. Well, again, it could have happened in another lifetime. It could have happened and maybe in a time that you just don't resonate with. Maybe it was years ago. We've been here for a long time. So give yourself room to be open to having these beliefs, and again, owning up to it and being empowered and just not taking it personally, allowing yourself to. In truth, the Son of God is whole, perfect, and complete. My true self is the oneness consciousness I share with everyone and is sinless and therefore not guilty. So this consciousness that we share with everyone, this Christ consciousness, is truly my true self. My true self, again, is not afraid. My true self is not sick. This consciousness that I can tap into is true about everyone. So when I'm doing this forgiveness work, I'm allowing myself to forgive guilt, which is such a huge component in why people attract sickness, is because we're holding on to guilt, and that's causing a lot of pain and suffering. My higher self is disguised as the people and circumstances that arise in the form of repetitive patterns and lessons I need to learn in order to bring all darkness to the light and be healed. So my higher self is showing up in my life as repetitive lessons that I keep feeling like I need to learn over and over again. So say I haven't learned to, stop attacking or judging myself in a certain way. That pattern is going to keep showing up until I recognize it and give it forth, until I do the forgiveness work, until I say to the Holy Spirit, I want to let go of this pattern now. I recognize it. My higher self is truly showing up in that pattern to tell me what I need to forgive and what I need to have healed. So let me see these challenges, these repetitive lessons and patterns, as an opportunity to expand my awareness instead of seeing it as punishment. So when we're identified as the ego, we see these repetitive lessons from our higher self as like we're being punished. The ego will tell us like that we deserve to suffer, we deserve to be punished for this, we deserve to be guilty. So instead of identifying as the ego and believing that, let me identify as my true self and see it as a way to learn and as a way to heal, as a window to expand and advance my consciousness even further. So it is truly a blessing to have these patterns show up and for them to be revealed to me. This is a really big topic, guilt and sickness. I've truly experienced guilt as being such a deep cause for illness and such a deep cause for stress. Guilt can be really powerful if we continue to identify as the ego and let the ego tell us that we deserve that. But truly, guilt must be released from my consciousness in order for me to be healthy and free of sickness. So if I can go within and release feeling guilty about anger for anything that I've done, release the feeling for, shame as well, I can remember who I am and remember that whenever I've done these negative things, like for example, stealing or for attacking anyone, including myself in the past, it's because I was asleep. And in self-realization, we say that, when we're asleep, it's like we're on amnesia and we're doing these things that are just not aligned with God. They're completely delusional. They don't make sense. It's complete insanity. So when I awaken from that sleep, I remember who I am, and who I really am is not guilty. It's sinless, and I can really own that and allow, again, the higher power to do all the work. I don't have to understand what it means to be guilt-free right now. I don't have to understand how that process works, but it's just that little bit of willingness to be open to that healing. A sickness symbolizes resistance and ignorance to the truth of who I am. In A Course in Miracles, especially from Dr. Caroline Fuqua, she really stresses that basically if you're resisting, being your higher self, or you're resisting being the image and likeness of God, you're also just resisting the truth of who you are. You're letting yourself just stay in that identity of limitation. And again, it's just part of the universal laws, like we swing from the right we swing from the right to the left room a lot, and just being grounded in, I am God, I am able to access that energy will help let go of that resistance. So going into meditation, going into the yoga practice and recognizing what is my body showing me as a mirror reflection. And instead of looking at it as resistance and settling for that's just who I am, I'm going to see it as an opportunity to let go of those beliefs even further. Another big point is very boldly said in A Course in Miracles, sickness is a defense against the truth. So it's kind of interesting to see sickness as like being a defense, like actually being defensive. And whenever we're just defensive, we think that it's serving us and we think that we're protecting ourselves, but really it's doing the opposite. It's attracting even more of the thing you're afraid of. If you feel like you need to be defensive against, yourself, defensive, like you truly believe that you're ill and that's it. That's all you're focused on. You're just going to attract more and more of that because that's what you believe. So the Course says it's a defense. And the only way to let that go, again, is to go into meditation, get the help from the Holy Spirit. Don't try to do it by yourself, and allow that present moment awareness to work through you to get rid of those defenses. What goes around comes around. Universal law protects me from victimization. So whatever I've given, I'm also going to receive. If I've done anything, whether it's positive or negative, I'm also going to receive that eventually in return. The Course speaks about how from ages 0 to 7, Dr. Caroline Piqua mentions this, from ages 0 to 7, we are shown what kind of lessons that we're going to go through in our lifetime, whether it's sickness or it's about any kind of learning. We're going to be shown that from the ages of 0 to 7. And whatever we did in a past life, if it was happening from 0 to 7, it's going to come around to us in this lifetime. And it keeps us from being a victim to any of our circumstances. We're either God or we're a victim, depending on who I say I am. So I give my willingness to the Holy Spirit so that she may release guilt and defenses from my consciousness and reinterpret my life as seen by the oneness consciousness or Christ consciousness. Give the willingness over so that the higher power can release all this guilt and defenses, maybe because I don't even know what it means yet, but it's just my willingness that really makes the difference. I awaken from the dream of separation, sickness, and ego in the world with the guidance of the voice of God. And the voice of God, of course, in Egyptian mysticism is the Holy Spirit, it's the feminine, is Isis. As above, so below. If God is not sick, therefore I am not sick. So I find that very powerful. If God is not sick, I am not sick. So just finding that, being open to that, being willing to express that, and finding that that's a really powerful way to overcome all the situations in my lifetime. It's not giving my power away to something outside myself. And of course, I like to really recognize that I believe that I can raise my vibration by, making healthy choices, such as having a yoga practice, having a meditation practice, eating healthy, having, beautiful herbs and whatever other medicines, just as a way to raise my vibration. But I'm not giving my healing authority to any outside powers. It's all coming from within. It's all coming from the Christ consciousness moving through me, but I can use those tools such as yoga, meditation to raise my vibration, to keep my auric field clear. I can use those practices as tools to help me tune into myself and use the mirror to see where I'm holding on to sickness, tension, tightness. Use the meditation practice to show me where I'm feeling stuck so that I can give that forth to the Holy Spirit and start to do this deep healing work. So I truly believe that is a very powerful way to overcome all the darkness. And then one of my last few points that I'd like to bring up is how love, praise, and gratitude can really help overcome all circumstances that come towards me. So whenever I see a lesson that keeps reoccurring, the fastest way for me to get over that lesson and to move forward is to actually be grateful for it. So oftentimes it's easy to really not like what you're attracting, to really kind of feel afraid of what you're attracting, especially if it's something really stressful. So instead of being afraid, I like to say, well, be grateful for it, because now you can let it go. Now you can give it forth. Now you can ask the Holy Spirit to come through you, and you can recognize it. You're not dissociated from that belief anymore. You know what it is. I am grateful for the lessons I received from my higher self so that I may recognize what to let go of and clean up my consciousness. So we're truly scrubbing and cleaning away all the negative beliefs in our awareness and consciousness so that what we're attracting is abundance and beauty, health, love. Giving love and praise to each other is like what water and sunshine gives to plants. So giving myself positive thoughts as I'm doing this healing work, I find very powerful, nurturing myself so that I'm basically allowing myself to be successful. And whenever I give love and praise to my friends, families, coworkers, everyone, I'm also going to receive that love and praise back. So whatever I give, I'm going to receive as well. I find that really powerful for sickness. When the Course in Miracles says, if you believe that your brother or your sister or whoever is truly sick and you're looking at them as just their body, you're giving them that energy, and then you're going to be holding that context for them and you're going to receive it straight back. So instead of looking at my brother as sick and as just their body, I'm going to look at them as spirit and give them that opportunity to be whole, perfect, and complete. And that energy is going to be returned to me. And I'm not going to do that by saying like, no, you're not sick, or you're lying, or saying things like that at all. It's just going to be about giving praise, giving love, supporting them, being a listener, and just giving that beautiful exchange of energy back. It's never about saying that people are wrong, or being in the ego again and being defensive and being right. It's just about giving love and observing praise as God's voice speaks through me, just observing God as it is. At any time, I may offer my willingness to the Holy Spirit to reinterpret a situation, circumstance, and relationship so that I may give forth all negative illusions and projections about myself and realize the truth of who I am and experience reality within the nature of who I am. I allow myself to become a vessel for the higher power to move through my expressions, decisions, thoughts, choices, and beliefs. So ultimately, before I finish, I just like to say that this is such a powerful and very deep way of looking at coming out of the pandemic and coming out of fear. And I believe that it's very effective. I've seen it in my life, and I feel that it's a wonderful way to feel empowered instead of feeling like everything is separate and everything is outside of my control. I can use this information to really heal myself and therefore heal the rest of the world, because the world is a reflection of my thoughts and my beliefs. So yeah, if anybody has any comments or questions, please let me know. And thank you for listening to that.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a wonderful conclusion, blending of the physical, mental, and spirituality, especially what you have spoke about the higher self and guilt feeling, to cope up with the pandemic's negative impact on the well-being. Thank you so much. It was very wonderful to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Now, may I have attention, please? We have able to connect with our sessional chairperson, and for which I would like to welcome and invite Dr. Rajiv Chaudhary, Professor, SOS Physical Education, HOD, SOS Law, Pandit Ravi Shankar University, Raipur, to take a seat of honor. And I would also like to inform you all that Sir is a career of Best Teacher Educator Awardee and Adjunct Faculty at Raksha Vishwavidyalaya, Gujarat, India. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, madam. Sincere thanks to you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible and visible to us.
Okay. At the very outset, I would like to express my sincere thanks to the organizers, especially to Nagesh Tiwari ji for inviting me. And I convey my regards to Madam Usha Dubey also. She is a motivator for me. I will conclude after both the sessions. So please continue.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so let's continue with our second technical session, which is being taken up by Mr. Dr. Vikas Mishra ji, and for which I would like to invite and welcome our guest speaker, Dr. Vikas Mishra, MBBS, MS Ophthalmology, Pico surgeon from Sashwat Hospital, Raipur, Chhattisgarh. Today, sir is going to deal with the topic, new variant of COVID-19 symptoms and prevention. Welcome, sir. It's over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Before I start, I have to share my screen. Huh? Anyone is there to share the screen?
Sir, you can share your screen by your side. Vikas, sir. So you're not audible and visual to us.
It is not going to share. I'm not able to share this because I'm going to this share option. It is not taking on the screen. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, started. Started. Yes. We are able to see your screen.
Okay.
What you're sharing.
I think some technical issues there.
All the participants, sir will resume his screen presentation very soon.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're
Sorry.
audible and visible to us.
Sorry
In fact,
for
your
the
presentation-
delay. Okay.
Oh, it's okay, sir.
So I'm Dr. Vikas Mishra. I'm by profession ophthalmologist. I'm working at Sashwat Hospital, Raipur. Today my topic is COVID variants. Let's start with the variants. What does mean by variants? So because of mutation is a normal changes that continue to be occur in all the living things, from viruses to human beings and all the animals. But uh, this mutation which is continued to occur in SARS COVID viruses, which can lead to the COVID-19, and at present there are so many, around 1,000 variants of COVID are there, which is causing pandemic in this era. So whenever this virus get replicated, where it will replicate in the host tissue, means human body, or any favorable areas where it can grow. So this, whenever a virus will replicate or it will continue to be grow, it will causes little bit changes in this, genetic changes will be there, and these changes is called as mutation. So whenever there is a mutation, the new virus which is produced, it will be slight vary from the original viruses. It might be more resistant, more potential, or it may be less lethal or more lethal. It depends on its mutation. So from the history beginning, we can see it was originating, this novel coronavirus from the SARS coronavirus 2 variant. Slowly by mutation, it converted into a novel coronavirus. So in other countries, and so many variations they are found in UK, Ireland, Denmark. You can see this SARS-CoV virus is named as novel corona from the China, ex-China countries like Korea, Japan, and Thailand. The main thing is which factor causes mutation. Whenever a virus is going to get mutated, it has to circulate in a it has to circulate to the population. So means it will cause infections and infections. So when so many people are getting infected with the viruses, this infection causing capacity of the virus will grow or decrease. This opportunity the virus will get to infect itself, it depends on its replication capacity. And when virus is widely circulating in a population, causes many infections, likelihood of mutation is increased, because it will get more body, more host tissue, more genetic changes occur in the host tissue and into the viral RNA and DNAs. So the more it also depends on the adverse or favorable condition that the virus is going to face in the host tissue. Suppose the virus is getting an adverse condition, it will get mutated so that the next generation of the virus, it is going to infect the next person, will be somehow more stronger variety. So it will infect more and more people. Suppose it is getting a favorable condition, it will grow so fast. In adverse condition, maybe the viral replication will be slow, but in favorable condition, virus replication will be more, transmission will be more. So most virus get mutated. So what effect it will causes to the human? So most virus mutation, COVID virus mutation has little or no impact on the virus ability to cause infection or disease. So ability or to cause infection is almost normal like that, but depending where the change is located in the virus genetic material. So main cause of changes in the genetic material and genetic changes that will affect the viral property to get uh, transmitted. Suppose a virus is getting more capable of transmitting by genetic changes. Virus has to spread more. For spreading more, it has to get the transmission capacity. So this transmission will be more and more when its property of mutation. By mutation, it has get the capability to transmit more and more. And second is severity. So when severity is more for the infection, so it will causes more severe changes in the host tissue and host cell. There was a research done pan-India. They took around 1,000 sample from the various part of the country, and they took nasal or oropharyngeal swab and biopsy from lungs and some autopsy part from the dead body. And they separate these. The sample is taken from the person who was suffering from corona and whose RT-PCR was positive. They took the viral genome of all those patients, all those cases. They took collective patient data on infection, severity, the patient from whom the sample was taken, how much infection was severe in those patients, their history, and their other lab investigations was taken. And third factor, they took the host exomes. Exomes means the part of gene which is coming out of the cells. Means that the final protein going to be produced after the replication or whatever genetic changes has been occur in a host cell, and it is going to come out as a virus or as a outcome of the infection was taken, and transcriptome sequencing, this final mRNA sequencing which is going to convert into the protein, was taken, and they find out there was how this outbreak is occurring, what are the genetic changes which is going to occur because of that outbreak was occurring. So they tracked the outbreak, tracking was there, and in these outbreak areas, what was the viral evaluation, what was the changes, genetic changes in this viral load, and what was the causes for host genomic factors, means reinfection in the host, what happened to the host, what happened to the host tissue and cells, and how does it react, whether it is get damaged, it was susceptible to the virus, or the virus which is coming is susceptible to some antibiotic, or they are resistant to antibiotic and antiviral drugs which we have used during the treatment. So all those studies have done. So, and finally, they in WHO was doing a study, and other world, so many health organizations are studying on the mutation of the COVID. They found out of this 1,000 of the variation, WHO is mainly studying the three main variant of the viruses. That is, first one is alpha. This variant is B1.1.7, and this is first identified in UK. The second variant is beta. This is B.1.351, and it is identified in South Africa. The third one, the gamma one, was actually at first circulated in the Brazil before this alpha and beta, but it was identified later on because the person who were traveled from the Brazil to Japan, and they found this variant. So by tracking changes in the virus and what how it in terms of transmission, severity, and impact on diagnostic and therapeutic effect and vaccines effect, we found that there was a more transmissibility of alpha 1 and beta 1 was more, and in compared to gamma 1, the resulting from the mutation that allow the virus variant to bind to the cell and human cells more easily. Means it was more transmissible, more because it was easy. It is easy for this virus to bind to the host cell and cause infection more easily. But for the gamma 1, there is no evidence of increase in transmission with the gamma 1, but this factor is under study. In terms of severity, the sum of the studies from UK suggests that the alpha 1 has increased severity. There are studies that are underway. So, why we are studying this transmission and its efficacy or its severity to make the result, to make the medications, to make the treatment and for vaccination purpose. So out of so many variant of coronaviruses, there are a few which I had copied, I had taken. The ancestral one, you can see in this table, the naming by given by the WHO. Transmissibility means capability of virus to transmit from one host tissue to other, means infected person to a normal person. And there is a term immune evasiveness, means the capability of virus to invade the immune system of host tissue. How much capable of this virus is to enter into the host tissue by breaking its immune system. And vaccines effectiveness. You can see the ancestral one, there is no transmission, no infection, means it was not dangerous for the human. But from alpha, you can see it is more transmissible, but it can't invade the immune system. So the person who were affected with the alpha one, they might be gone unnoticed without any severe symptoms. They might have got mild to moderate symptoms, but symptoms were less. Beta version persons get more infection symptoms. Severity might be there, but they are less transmissible. So transmission is less, though although the patient who got infected, they were severe. The gamma patients, those who got infected, they are okay with they'll get infected, they will get transmitted, but the severity was somehow more than the other, but it is less. But epsilon and lota varieties are mild cases. They will not cause the mild more infection. But if you will say the delta person, it is more and more cause this delta version has causes so many infection in India and pandemic conditions like UK and other countries. You can see because of this delta variety, because it is more and more transmissibility. It is highly transmissible, means it will cause infection from one person to other very high rate, and it will give it can cause infection up to mild to severe. But so many factors are there because of that. This time in pandemic condition, we saw so many persons they lost their life because of unavailability of medical care facility due to rapid increase in the cases of virus infections. So Delta variant, um, about the Delta variant, we should know this from it is also originating from the main source of SARS-CoV-2 variant. It is circulating globally. One of this variant, this is B.1.617 lineage and detected in India earlier this year. Early evidence suggests that this sublineage of this Delta variant B.1.617, known as Delta variant, it is more transmissible than the contemporary lineages. And WHO has given this name Delta and also categorized into a variant of concern. Variant of concern because it has increased in the transmissibility. It has detrimental changes in the COVID-19 epidemiology. See, there are so many cases at a time, and there is means this time we are seeing so many cases in phase 2 wave, second wave, and increase in the virulence. It is causing so much more damage than expected from the previous version of the or previous variants of COVID viruses. And there also we saw decrease in the effectiveness of public health measure or well diagnostic vaccine and therapeutics. So it was not responding to well diagnostics, and therapeutic measures are also going to be get failed because of its increased virulence, increased transmission, and because of all these things, there is continue to observe significantly increase in the transmissibility and growing number of countries also getting outbreak of this variant. So it is called as variant of concern. So out of this, so many variant of COVID virus, we can see all of them have effectiveness with the vaccination. So although some new variant will be having more effective, means vaccine will be effective for them, and these vaccines might not be effective for the some new variant. But there we found somehow protection from the vaccination. So COVID-19 vaccine that are currently in development or have been approved are expected to provide at least some protection against the new virus variant. Means, although they are not going to give you protection 100%, but they will give at least somehow protection, because these vaccines elicit a broad immune response involving a range of antibodies and cells. Therefore, the changes in the mutation in this virus should not make vaccine completely ineffective. So whatever new varieties are there, new variants are there, we are going to get benefited by the vaccines. And in the event that any of the vaccines prove to be less effective against one or more variant, it will be possible to change the composition of the vaccines to protect against these variants. So by the time we can make our vaccines more potential. Now the main factor is because virus, it will continue to grow, continue to multiply, and continue to get mutated. Means whenever there is genetic changes, whenever there is a growth, there might be mutations. So how can we will prevent these viruses to get mutated? The very simple thing is what we are listening from the earlier time of the COVID infection, uh, from the newspaper, mobile dialer tone, TV, and all those things we are listening, is simple steps that we should prevent the spread of virus. The simple method will take, the spread of virus will reduce. So replication time, replication chances of the virus will reduce. So new variant will not develop. So first thing is stopping spread by frequent hand washing, wearing a mask. So many people, they will use the mask, same mask for many times, many days. I'll request either they should use washable things, or better is to use the new mask every time. Otherwise you will get reinfections, not from the virus, it might be from bacteria, it might be from fungus. Main thing is physical distancing, which whenever we'll see after lockdown, we'll open the market, there'll be no one to follow the physical distancing, and there'll be crowd, mob is like moving like here and there. So we should follow the physical distancing. We should always stay in a good ventilated area, avoid the crowding places, and use of disinfectant, sanitizers, it should be continued. You should sanitize your house, your households, your things, and uh, get a good food habit, so that your immunity should be strong. Because main power to get rid of this infection is immunity. And if a virus is going to cross across a good body, means immune body, the virus which will going to come out of this normal and immune healthy body will be less infective than in compare with the low immunity body. Because the virulent capacity of the uh, virus which is coming out of disease, means dead body are very weak bodies are more than the healthy one. So we have to continue work against the new variant by reducing amount of viral transmission, and uh, so we'll give less opportunity to the virus to mutate. This should be our aim, and this should be our goal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for this informative session,
If
thereby
any,
dealing with. Yes, sir. So if we will have any queries, we'll ask you. Uh, Thank you so much, sir, for this informative session, thereby
thank you.
dealing with variants and mutation of coronavirus in prior to the expected third wave, so as to aware about its impact, precautions, and remedies. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
It's a
Thank you.
wonderful session with you. Thank you so much, sir. Now, let's move forward for our third technical session that was thoroughly dedicated for the paper presentation. And the third technical session is being taken up by Mr. Nitish Sharma, PhD scholar from IIT Delhi. And his topic is Yoga as an effective strategy for self-management of stress-related problems and well-being during COVID-19 lockdown. Uh, cross-sectional study. Mr. Nitish Sharma. Mr. Nitish Sharma, sir. Are you able to hear me? This is your presentation session.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are audible to us, sir.
Can you just give me 5 minutes for fixation because I am suffering from network problem? Can you give me just 5 minutes or?
Okay, sir. Please come up with some minutes, sir. Few minutes. Okay. Okay, all the participants hereby I'm all again telling you or informing you about the schedule. We have already completed our guest speakers session, that is technical 1 and technical 2 session, and we are moving forward for the third and the fourth technical session that was thoroughly dedicated for the paper presentation. First is being taken up by Mr. Nitish Sharma, who is going to resume the session within 3 to 4 minutes. And then after it, we have a fourth session, a technical session being taken up by Mr. Uma Shankar Kaushik, Assistant Professor from Raipur University. And then we'll have the concluding speech and the concluding session by our sessional chairperson, Dr. Rajiv Chaudhary, sir. And thereafter, we will have the vote of thanks. So stay connected with us and have the benefits of the sessions. I hope it's a very wonderful and having a good experience about the this topic, international webinars topics, and you're getting the informative session with us. And we have also got some queries from some participants that whether we have to fill the feedback form on the day-to-day basis. No, let me clear this. All the participants will get their feedback form at the last day of our international webinar, that is day 3. After the completion of our session, we will float the link for your feedback form. And after responding to that feedback form, you will get your e-certificate of this 3 days international webinar on your registered email, which you are going to record with us in our feedback form. So do not panic and do not become so much conscious about that e-certificate. You will surely get, if you are able to respond us with our feedback form, you will surely get the e-certificates within the 10 days. Please mention and attentive for this. Within the 10 days, you will get your e-certificates after the completion of our international webinar. And the feedback form we will be getting on the last day, that is the third day after the completion of the session. Okay. Nitish sir, are you able to? Nitish sir, we are waiting for your session. Have you compiled your presentation?
Yes, ma'am. I'm just in the process. I just need 2 more minutes.
Okay, okay. So I would ask or inform the participants if anyone having any queries about the guest speakers technical session or the paper presented this participants. कोई भी आपका questions हो, कुछ भी आपको queries हो, तो you can chat us with the text box in the YouTube channel. आप हमें टेक्स्ट कर सकते हैं, हम लास्ट में आपके गेस्ट लेक्चर से उनका आपको आंसर मिल जाएगा. इफ एनीवन हैज एनी क्वेश्चंस और क्वेरीज अबाउट एनी टेक्निकल सेशन, दे कैन आस्क अस इन द चैट बॉक्स ऑफ आवर यूट्यूब चैनल. And if you have any kind of problem or any kind of doubt about our session certificates or any kind of presentation system, so you can ask our coordinators in their personal WhatsApp number, because we all are added in that webinar groups. So you can ask that the personal WhatsApp number also. About you can ask in a personal WhatsApp number about the any type of problem or doubt if you get if you have about getting the certificates or paper presentation, anything. And if you are having any doubt or queries about these sessions, today's technical sessions, which was being taken up by the Ms. Leila and Mr. Dr. Vipra, and or if you are having any kind of queries or questions about our paper presentation session, you can text us in the chat box right now in your YouTube channel, to which you are linked right now. So we can be try to resolve after the completion of our fourth technical session. Before the concluding part, we will try to sort out your queries by the guest lectures or by the presenters. Okay. Nitish sir, are you able to hear me? Nitish sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, if you require some more times, then we will continue with the second presenter. Then
Okay, okay. Okay, ma'am. You can continue.
present. Okay, okay, okay. Thank you so much, sir.
I'm
So,
thinking it's network problem.
okay, okay, it's okay. So, hereby I inform you all that we have some technical issue with our first paper presenter, Mr. Nitish Sharma. So, we will giving the third technical session over to Mr. Uma Shankar Kaushik, Assistant Professor Yoga from Raipur Sarkar University. The sir has a topic. The sir is going to be the topic about yogic ग्रंथों में प्राण साधना. Sir, over to you.
थैंक यू मैम. मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
जी सर, आप ऑडिबल हैं, विजुअल हैं.
जी,
कंटिन्यू
जी.
विद योर सेशन.
जी, थैंक यू मैम. आप सबको मेरा नमस्कार, प्रणाम. एक बहुत ही अच्छा अवसर और एक हर्ष का विषय है कि जो इंडिजिनस टेक्निक्स है, जिनके जो सॉल्यूशंस हैं हेल्थ प्रॉब्लम जो अराइजिंग हो रहे हैं, हम देख रहे हैं जो ड्यूरिंग पेंडेमिक, उसमें हम किस तरह से यौगिक जो रेफरेंस से हम चीज़ें बात कर रहे हैं, चर्चा करें, अभ्यास में लाएं. ऐसे कौन सी हमारी स्वदेशी टेक्निक्स हैं, ऐसे कौन से हमारे स्वदेश में जो निर्मित है, अभ्यास में लाए जाने वाले जो अभ्यास प्रैक्टिसेस हैं, योग को खास करके. योग जो है भारतीय जो हमारी जो पद्धति है ज्ञान विद्या की, योग विद्या की, उसमें ये मान के चले जो अध्यात्म विद्या है भारत की, उसकी एक धुरी कह सकते हैं योग को. तो अगर हम बात करें कि आज अगर जो योग का जो हम प्रगति देख रहे हैं पूरे विश्व स्तर पर, विश्व योग दिवस के पूर्व भी हमारे भारत के जो पुरातन मनीषी है, सन्यासी है, योगी है, ज्ञानी है, तपस्वी है, इन्होंने इनको अपने जीवन में अपनाया और ना सिर्फ शारीरिक, मानसिक
स्वास्थ्य को प्राप्त किया, वरन परम उद्देश्य था वह मुक्ति था। आज का जो उद्देश्य है, जैसे जो विप्र आर्ट्स कॉमर्स फिजिकल एजुकेशन कॉलेज रायपुर के द्वारा जो यह 7 से 9 जून में इंटरनेशनल वेबिनार का जो आयोजन किया जा रहा है, इसमें जो मेरा विषय है मैं बताने चाह रहा हूँ, मैं डिलीवर करना चाहता हूँ। आज का जो टॉपिक मेरा है, हठ योगिक ग्रंथों में प्राण साधना। जो अगर हम देखें कि जो पूरा देह है, पूरा जो शरीर है, वो स्थूल रूप में जो हम देखने को मिलता है, जो हम जान पाते हैं, महसूस कर पाते हैं, जिसकी एक निश्चित आकृति है और जिसमें हम चल फिर बोल पा रहे हैं, सारी चीजें जो गतिविधियां क्रियाएं होती है, जो अन्नमय कोश का एक भाग है। वास्तव में ये सब किससे संचालित होता है? ये प्राण से होता है। तो इस विषय पे हम चर्चा करने जा रहे हैं। सबसे पहले मैं बताऊंगा कि हठ योगी ग्रंथ क्या है, हठ क्या है। ज्यादातर लोगों की ऐसी मान्यता है, और आप पुराने ग्रंथों में भी कुछ देखेंगे, 18वीं और 19वीं शताब्दी के कुछ ग्रंथों में तो ऐसा अनुमान लगता है कि कुछ लोगों की भ्रांतियां ये रही है, मान्यता ये रही है कि हठ का अर्थ जिद है। जिद ऐसा नहीं है। हठ का अर्थ है 2 शक्ति धाराएं। जिसे हठ योगी, जो नाथ योगी संप्रदाय में ये साधनाएं प्रचलित और पल्लवित और पुष्पित होती रही है, फलित होती रही है, और उनका उद्देश्य परम है, केवलम राजयोगाय हठ विद्योपदेश्यते, केवल राजयोग की प्राप्ति था। तो हठ जिद नहीं है, बल्कि 2 शक्ति धाराएं हैं। हमारी चित्त शक्ति जिसमें हम चिंतन करते हैं, हमारी प्राण शक्ति जिसमें हम बोल रहे हैं, चल रहे हैं, कर्म करते हैं। इसको ज्ञान और कर्म कह सकते हैं। इसको स्त्री और पुरुष भी कहा गया है कि स्त्री और पुरुष दोनों के जो गुण हैं, हमारे 2 हेमिस्फीयर हैं, तो दोनों को संयुक्त करना है। प्राण और चित्त है, दोनों संयुक्त करना है। उत्तरी और दक्षिणी ध्रुव, उसको भी ये कह सकते हैं। हम इसे सूर्य और चंद्र भी कह सकते हैं। हम इसे शक्ति और शिव भी कह सकते हैं। और हमें बहुत सारे ऐसे समानार्थी शब्दों को देखने को मिलता है। उद्देश्य क्या है? उद्देश्य है नाथ योगियों का कि हमारे 2 विशेष शक्तियां हमारे देह में विद्यमान है, एक प्राण शक्ति, एक चित्त शक्ति। चित्त में मन बुद्धि चित्त अहंकार आता है, अति सूक्ष्म है, सटल है। और प्राण शक्ति उस मन से थोड़ा ग्रॉस लेवल है, और सबसे ज्यादा हम जो स्थूल शरीर देख पा रहे हैं वह हम उससे शक्तिशाली है। किंतु मन बुद्धि से वो प्राण जो है थोड़ा मान के चलें कि दोनों का एक ब्रिज की तरह काम करता है, शरीर और मन के बीच, बुद्धि और देह के बीच। तो योगियों ने देखा कि अगर हम प्राण साधना करें, आजकल जो अभ्यास में हम प्रचलन में हैं उसमें ज्यादातर लोग सिर्फ आसनों का अभ्यास करते हैं। नाथ योगी कहते हैं आसनों को तो आप अभ्यास करें, किंतु जिस आसनों के माध्यम से आप शरीर को संतुलित करना चाहते हैं, उस आसनों को, उस देह को संतुलित करता है आपका प्राण। और प्राण एक ही है। प्राण अलग अलग स्थानों में जाकर के शरीर में अलग अलग नामों से वह परिचित होता है, हम जानते हैं। तो उसी को प्राण, अपान, उदान, व्यान, समान कह सकते हैं उसको। लेकिन प्राण ही मेन है, जो हमारे श्वास प्रश्वास के साथ जिनका संबंध है। तो हम देखते हैं कि स्वात्माराम जी कह रहे हैं कि चले वाते चलम चित्तम, निश्चले निश्चलम भवेत। ये इंडिजिनस टेक्निक्स हैं कि कितना बड़ा सूत्र दे रहे हैं कि हम जो बात कर रहे हैं, सोच रहे हैं, चिंतन करते हैं, विचार चल रहा है, मन काम करता है, उसके साथ प्राण का गहरा संबंध है। अगर हम चित्त को, चंचल जो चित्त है, योग चित्त वृत्ति निरोध, चित्त की वृत्तियों का निरोध ही योग कहा गया है। तो वो चित्त का नियंत्रण कैसे हो? 2 टेक्निक नाथ योगियों के इंडिजिनस टेक्निक्स रहे हैं। पहला है प्राण साधना और दूसरा है मन की साधना। तो प्राण साधना में हम प्राण का अभ्यास करते हैं, और प्राण ही हमारे शरीर में जब तक है तब तक हम जीवित हैं। यह जो देह है तभी तक सुरक्षित है जब तक प्राण इसमें संचित है, और प्राण साधना विशेष मानी जाती है। प्राण साधना से ही हम चित्त को कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं, नियंत्रित कर सकते हैं, और उसका निरोध कर सकते हैं एक समय के उपरांत। तो उसमें अनुलोम विलोम प्राणायाम की एक टेक्निक रही है। 2 विशेष तरह की प्राण साधनाएं नाथ योगियों में, हठ योगी ग्रंथों में हमें देखने को मिलता है। पहला है अनुलोम विलोम की साधनाएं। अनुलोम विलोम क्या है? ये भी प्राण साधना है, जिसमें हम बिना श्वास को कंट्रोल किए, बिना हम कुंभक लगाए, बिना श्वास को रोके बाईं नासिका से लंबी और गहरी श्वास भरते हैं, और बिना श्वास को रोके दाहिनी नासिका से धीरे धीरे सनय सनय श्वास बाहर छोड़ देते हैं। ऐसे ही दाहिनी नासिका से हम लंबी और गहरी श्वास भरते हैं, और सनय सनय धीरे धीरे बाईं नासिका से लंबी और गहरी श्वास हम धीरे धीरे छोड़ते हैं। तो जब हम बिना कुंभक के इस अभ्यास को करते हैं, जिसको अनुलोम विलोम कहा जाता है, यह वशिष्ठ संहिता में आप देखेंगे कि जो ऋषि वशिष्ठ हैं वो इनका उपदेश कर रहे हैं। उसमें हमें थोड़ी क्या ध्यान रखनी है, उसमें थोड़ी भावनाएं करनी है। बाई नासिका से श्वास ले रहे हैं, जो ईड़ा है जो ठंडकता प्रदान करता है, शरीर को शीतलता देता है, तो हमें महसूस करना है, भावना करनी है कि नासिका के अग्रभाग में ज्योत्सना जाल जो है, ज्योत्सना का अर्थ होता है चंद्रमा का प्रकाश, जो दिव्यता है उसकी शीतलता है, वह पूरा शरीर उससे, पूरी जो शरीर की नाड़ियां हैं उससे प्रभावित हो रही है और पूरा शरीर शीतल हो रहा है और अमृत रस जो है टपक रहा है और उससे पूरी नाड़ियां शुद्ध हो रही है, ऐसी भावना है। दाहिनी नासिका क्या है? यह सूर्य नाड़ी है और गर्माहट और उष्णता प्रदान करता है। जैसे हम राइट नॉस्ट्रिल से इनहेल करते हैं तो हमारे जठराग्नि को, देहाग्नि को बढ़ाता है, उष्णता और अग्नि को प्रदीप्त करता है। उस समय भावना ये करनी है कि हमारे नाभि में सूर्य का जो प्रकाश है वह वो विस्तृत हो रहा है, पल्लवित हो रहा है, फैल रहा है, संपूर्ण नाड़ियां शुद्ध हो रही हैं। ऐसी भावना के साथ उन्होंने कहा कि बिना कुंभक के भी हम इस तरह से भावना करके अनुलोम विलोम कर नाड़ी शोधन कर सकते हैं। यही टेक्निक घेरन जी ने वातक्रम कपालभाति के रूप में अनुलोम विलोम के दिया, जो कपाल का शोधन करता है। यही टेक्निक ब्रह्मानंद जी ने अपने हठ प्रतिपिका ज्योत्सना में कहा है कि आप नाड़ी शोधन के पूर्व इन अनुलोम विलोम को अपनाएं और अभ्यास करें, उसके बाद ही योगी और साधक जो इस मार्ग में प्रवृत्त हो रहा है वो आगे नाड़ी शोधन में कुंभक का अभ्यास करें। तो ये विशेष टेक्निक रही है। दो हमें हमारे हेमिस्फीयर है, एक में भावना है, विश्वास है, श्रद्धा है, आस्था है, वात्सल्य है, दूसरा में साहस है, पराक्रम है, वीरता है, आक्रामकता है। तो दो हेमिस्फीयर है, दोनों को संतुलन जब ये अनुलोम विलोम करते हैं तो सिंपैथेटिक पैरासिम्पैथेटिक, आजकल जो हम अगर टेस्ट करें देखें तो हम दो नाड़ियों को जान सकते हैं जो ऑटोनोमिक नर्वस सिस्टम का एक भाग है। जब हम इन अभ्यासों को लाते हैं तो देखिएगा कि पूरा शरीर जो है रिलैक्स होगा, शरीर हल्का हो जाएगा। और कहा कि हटस्थ प्रथमांगत्वा पूर्व मुच्यते कुर्यात् दासनम स्थैर्यम धैर्यम आरोग्यम च अंग लागम। हठयोग का पहला अंग आसन है और आसन के साथ साथ आप देखिएगा जो हल्कापन आता है वो सबसे ज्यादा प्राणायाम लाघवम च कहा गया है, वो है प्राणायाम से पूरा शरीर जो है संतुलित हो जाएगा, स्थिर हो जाएगा, सप्त धातु में बैलेंस हो जाएंगी, त्रिदोष संतुलित हो जाते हैं और जो दोष है वो दूर होने लगते हैं। दूसरा एक टेक्निक है इंडिजिनस टेक्निक्स हमारे हठयोग की ग्रंथों में प्राण साधना के अंतर्गत, वो है कुंभक के साथ नाड़ी शोधन का अभ्यास करना। कुंभक का अर्थ होता है जैसे कुंभ है, कुंभ का विशेष स्थान है। गिरण जी कहते हैं जैसे कच्चा घड़ा है, आप उसमें जल आप भर दें और भर करके रखें तो टूट जाएगा क्योंकि वह पक्व नहीं है। जो अग्नि होती है वह कुंभ को गर्म करती है और उसे मजबूती प्रदान करती है, उसे जला करके उसको गर्म करके उष्णता से वो पका देती है। ऐसे ही जो योगाग्नि है साधक को पका देती है। उसके लिए कुछ विशेष चीजें हैं जो जो हमारे हठयोग के ग्रंथों में देखने को मिलता है। वो पहला है ब्रह्मचर्य। ब्रह्मचर्य कई तरह के माने गए हैं, विचार न करना ऐसी चीजों का जो हमारे ब्रह्मचर्य के लिए हानिप्रद हो, जो हमारे ब्रह्मचर्य की स्थिरता में बाधक हो, ऐसे ग्रंथों को ना पढ़े, ऐसे संगति ना करें, ऐसे चिंतन ना करें, ऐसे विचार ना करें और ऐसे कर्म ना करें। ऐसे बहुत सारी चीजें इनमें वर्णन हमें देखने को मिलता है। तो पहले ब्रह्मचर्य, दूसरा है रसना और वासना। वासना का संबंध हमने कहा कि चिंतन ना करना, किंतु रसना जो जीव है उसमें कुछ भी खा ले रहे हैं, कुछ भी खा लेते हैं, तली भुनी मिर्च वाली चीजें, तो कहते हैं इससे प्राण प्रभावित होता है। मदिरा का सेवन, मांस का सेवन प्राण को प्रभावित करता है और ये सबसे ज्यादा हमें हानि पहुंचाने वाला है। ऐसे ही खट्टी तली भुनी मिर्च वाली बासी चीजें और बहुत ज्यादा भोजन या
Sir, actually paper presentation के लिए we have a time slot for 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
Please, if possible, wind up within.
Okay, within a minute I have completed my presentation.
Okay, okay.
Thank you. तो मित्रों, समय की जो सीमा है उसके हिसाब से मैं यही कहना चाहूंगा कि जो प्राण साधना है वो यही है कि नाड़ी शोधन की जो टेक्निक है वो है कुंभक के साथ। तो बाई नासिका से जब हम श्वास लेते हैं तो रोक के रखिए। रोकने से क्या होता है, जो नाड़ियां हैं वो पूरे शरीर में जो नाड़ियां फैली उसमें प्राण जो है उधर ना जा करके हमारे ईड़ और पिंगला जो दो विशेष नाड़ियां हैं उसमें जाती है, वो प्राण और चित्त को प्रभावित करती है। धीरे धीरे सुषुम्ना जागृत होती है। तो धीरे धीरे यह देखिएगा कि श्वास बाएं से लेना है, रोक के रखना है अपनी क्षमता अनुसार, और दाहिने से श्वास छोड़ देना है। हमेशा छोड़ने का जो क्रम है वो बहुत धीमा हो, ऐसे दाई नासिका से श्वास ले, रोक के बाएं से छोड़ दें। तो ये प्राण साधना रही है और ये प्राण साधना सबसे ज्यादा प्रभावित करती है हमारे सूक्ष्म शरीर को। आज जितने भी आसन करे जा रहे हैं, 1 घंटे का क्लास होता है, 90 मिनट का आसन होता है, 10 मिनट प्राणायाम होता है, उसमें भी प्राणायाम नहीं हो रहा है। तो प्राणायाम आसनों से भी ज्यादा महत्वपूर्ण है। यह स्वामी निरंजन कहते हैं योग का आरंभ भी प्राणायाम से होता है। तो इतना ही कहना चाहूंगा कि हम आसन करें, अनुलोम विलोम के साथ नाड़ी शोधन के आगे बढ़ें और टेक्निक्स को अपनाएं। इंडिजिनस टेक्निक्स से हमें इस कोविड और उससे पहले भी ये प्रक्रियाएं हमें सुरक्षा प्रदान करती रही है शरीर और मन को, और इससे बाद भी हम सुरक्षित रहेंगे। इसी के साथ मैं आज के इस प्रेजेंटेशन के लिए धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करता हूँ विप्र आर्ट्स कॉमर्स फिजिकल एजुकेशन कॉलेज रायपुर को, जो इतना अच्छा उन्होंने इंटरनेशनल वेबिनार का आयोजन किया। धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, sir, for your presentation, thereby relating ancient scripts with prana sadhana to control mana chitta with particular techniques which is called Anulom Vilom. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Now, moving forward to the fourth technical session, I would like to invite Mr. Nitish Sharma, PhD scholar, IT Delhi, for his paper presentation on the topic yoga as an effective strategy of self-management of stress-related problems and well-being during COVID-19 lockdown, a cross-sectional study. Mr. Nitish Sharma, it's over to you.
Am I audible, ma'am? Hello. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So this is a study which is topic dashed yoga as an effective strategy for self-management of stress-related problems and well-being during COVID-19 lockdown. So this study was conducted by IIT Delhi, and it was a cross-sectional study, a large-scale cross-sectional study for which online survey was conducted during the lockdown period last year uh, in the month of April to June, and 668 adult participants participated in this study, and we have got nearly about 384 yoga practitioners and 259 non-yoga practitioners. And it was conducted on Indian population through the Google form, and the assessment scale which was used was depression, anxiety, stress scale, and scale of well-being, brief resilience scale, peace of mind, and emotional regulation scale. So all these scales was used for this study to assess. The objective was to assess whether yoga practitioners have better well-being and lower stress than non-practitioners during the lockdown high stress condition of the COVID-19. So we got the results, and results shows that yoga practitioners, we can see here, yoga practitioners has higher scores on well-being as compared to non-yoga practitioners, and it was significant. Then peace of mind, yoga practitioners has higher peace of mind, 3.56, than non-practitioners. Depression, yoga practitioners has lower depression than non-practitioners. And in the same way, anxiety and stress scales also showed that yoga practitioners had lower scores than non-practitioners. And emotional regulation, how they regulate their emotion during the stressful condition, which is also seen that yoga practitioners had higher emotional regulation capability than non-practitioners, as they were less affected by the pandemic situation and fear of death or contagion of the disease. So next we compared the short-term, mid-term, and long-term practitioners, because we were also interested in assessing that whether those people who have just started practicing yoga during the lockdown period, whether they have higher well-being or lower well-being as compared to mid-term yoga practitioners, like those who are practicing from 2 to 5 years, and long-term yoga practitioners, those who are practicing yoga for more than 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years. So we compared, and we saw an interesting result that short-term yoga practitioners scale of well-being, and mid-term and long-term. So long-term had the highest well-being. This shows that the duration of practices of yoga also has the effect on well-being. Peace of mind, the long-term yoga practitioners had highest peace of mind as compared to short-term yoga practitioners who were practicing less than 1 year. Depression, in depression also we see that there is no differences in mid-term and short-term yoga practitioners, but long-term yoga practitioners had very lower depression and anxiety, also very lower anxiety and stress as compared to short-term and mid-term yoga practitioners. Even emotion regulation was also higher in long-term yoga practitioners. So these results can be well depicted through this graph. The graph shows that higher well-being, this blue line shows the yoga practitioners have higher well-being, higher peace of mind, lower depression, lower stress, lower anxiety, and higher emotion regulation. So these all studies, when comparison with the short-term, mid-term, and long-term. See, this gray line is long-term practitioner, orange line is mid-term, and blue line is short-term. So we can see how the differences graph shows that long-term, mid-term, and short-term practitioners, how they have the well-being range, even peace of mind range. This shows that long-term practitioners had higher well-being, peace of mind, and emotion regulation, and they have lower stress, anxiety, and depression. Then in continuation with this, we also studied on the COVID patient, what occurs, what is the effect of yoga practices on those patients who are affected by the COVID-19. So we used hospital anxiety depression scale, perceived stress scale, and general anxiety, GADs for general anxiety scale, and we saw that the pre-score in the experimental group, those patients who were given yoga in the hospital setting, and control group, those patients who were not given yoga in the hospital setting, they were only on the medical treatment, whatever was provided by the doctors. And here, those patients who practice yoga, they were also on the medical treatment provided by the doctors. But see the differences in anxiety. From 12.42, it reduced to 4.75. Whereas in control group, it just reduced from 13 to 11. And also we see these scores, perceived stress scores. So 27.08, it reduced to 13.42, very drastic reduction in yoga practitioner in experimental group. Whereas in control group, only on medical treatment, they have got reduction only from 26 to 23. And SpO2, SpO2 also, oxygen saturation level, and we saw that in yoga practitioner, it increased from 92 to 95.50. Whereas in control group, who were only on medical treatment, no yoga practices, they increased from 93 to 94. And this is my last slide, and I conclude my everything. So this was the presentation which I have done study in hospital and in the large scale survey. And it proves that yoga practices is very effective for improving the mental comorbidities like stress, anxiety, and depression in the COVID patient as well as in the normal population during the pandemic situation. So yoga practice should be added in the hospital treatment as well. This is our result finding. If anyone has any question, you can ask.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful presentation, taking up all the elements about the practitioner's, its duration, and its impact. Thank you so much, sir. Now, moving forward to the conclusive session, I would like to invite and request our sessional chairperson, Dr. Rajiv Chaudhary, Professor SOS Physical Education, HOD SOS Law Department, Pandit Ravi Shankar University, for his conclusive speech. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible and visual to us.
Okay, thank you. Again, I express my sincere thanks to the organizers, especially to principal of the college, for providing me this opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, if we see today's society, we came to know that the daily routine, food habits, as well as the lifestyle of the individuals have been changed. Due to this change or due to the change in daily routine, food habits, and lifestyle, people are drawing their health status, fitness level, as well as spiritual development to the brink of precipice. So instead of giving stress on nauseous talks, we should give stress on the talks which are helpful to retrench our weaknesses. These types of program, these types of organizations are very helpful to retrench our weaknesses as well as stress. I congratulate the officials of the college to organize these types of conferences, these types of international webinars. Today, 4 presentations were there. One more thing I would like to share with you as per my experience, that is a group from the society. Some people link yoga with the religion, but we should not link yoga with any religion. If we compare in a scientific way, we know that religion has only one characteristic. Religion is purely based on faith. Since we have a faith, on the basis of faith we believe. But yoga is not based on faith. Yoga has different characteristics. Out of different characteristics, one is yoga is experimental. One presenter today presented on the basis of an experiment. The 4th presenter presented a study on the basis of an experiment. It means yoga is experimental. Next characteristic that separate yoga with the religion is yoga is experiential. We can feel the experience gained by yoga by practicing yogic sessions. And third main characteristic that separate yoga with the religion, that is yoga is existential. We may see the existence, but on the other hand, religion is purely based on faith. During this session, 4 presentations were there. The first main presentation was by Mrs. Lela Jones. She spoke on yoga and meditation connected with the source. The presentation was very fructiferous, very fruitful. One comment given by her impressed me. The comment was, there is only one problem and one solution. That is a key point. And she spoke about different universal laws, that is law of correspondence, law of mentalism, law of vibrations, law of polarity, law of rhythm, law of cause and effect. We know that there is a cause behind every effect that takes place with us, and law of gender. And this was new for me also. First time I have heard, and this was very impressive. And she spoke about guilt and sickness in detail. And in the last part of her presentation, she presented on love, praise, and gratitude that is highly required in our society. The presentation was very useful, and hope all all participants benefited by this. And the second presentation was by a professional doctor, Dr. Vikas Mishra ji. He presented or he delivered a lecture on COVID variants. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that we are facing COVID-19 pandemic, and in this COVID-19 pandemic, we are living in a protective layer, or not only living, we are supposed to live in a protective layer. Otherwise, we may assume that disastrous results. And we have only 2 protective layers. One is precautions. We have to follow precautions. Second one is to improve immunity. But the latest knowledge is also required. The most effective part of his presentation was how we can prevent new variants. We know that new variants came in existence, so we have to take care about that. And the presentation was very scientific in nature. Since he is a medical professional, he presented his presentation in a scientific way. I congratulate him. I congratulate Dr. Vikas Mishra ji. Third presentation was by उमा शंकर कौशिक जी का तीसरा प्रस्तुतिकरण था हिंदी भाषा में. उन्होंने जो प्रस्तुतिकरण दिया उसका एक शीर्षक था योगिक ग्रंथों में प्राण साधना. नाड़ियों के बारे में बताया कि नाड़ीज आर माइक्रो वेसल्स वेयर द प्राण फ्लोज, उसको प्राण से कोरिलेट किया। ईडा नाड़ी के बारे में बताया, पिंगला के बारे में बताया कि ईडा नाड़ी की क्या फंक्शनिंग है, पिंगला नाड़ी की क्या फंक्शनिंग है। और ये दैट वाज बेस्ड ऑन ए ट्रेडिशनल योग, एक पारंपरिक योग के क्षेत्र से। और उन्होंने एक विभिन्न कहेंगे कि एक प्रगाढ़ विद्वानों के अनुसार कही गई बातों को प्रस्तुत किया। गैरंड ऋषि गैरंड के अनुसार क्या था उन्होंने बताया, और प्राणायाम के महत्व को बताया। उनकी हम आसन करते हैं, उनकी सबसे महत्वपूर्ण बात थी हम अन्य कोश को तो बड़ा मजबूत करते हैं पर दूसरे कोश भी है। तो एक प्राणायाम के बारे में, प्राणायाम की महत्ता के बारे में, प्राणायाम के महत्व के बारे में विस्तार से बताया। एक पारंपरिक योग के आधार पर एक बहुत ही प्रभावशाली प्रस्तुतिकरण रहा। और चौथा प्रेजेंटेशन था नितेश शर्मा जी के द्वारा। नितेश शर्मा जी ने एक पूरा टाइटल, तो उन्होंने टाइटल को थोड़ा जल्दी एक स्किप कर दिया था, पूरा टाइटल तो नहीं लिख पाया, लेकिन उन्होंने जो प्रस्तुतिकरण दिया था उसका सार मैं सुन पाया। उनका टाइटल था योग एज एन इफेक्टिव स्ट्रेटेजी फॉर सेल्फ मैनेजमेंट ऑफ स्ट्रेस in relation to something. He presented of an experiment conducted by him. Uh, he conducted his study scientifically and systematically. He compared two groups, yoga practitioners and non-yoga practitioners, and took variables. He conducted his study by taking different variables. And he compared variables, and on the basis of that he proved that yes, yoga is very beneficial on different variables. He selected different variables and compared the variables between practitioners and yoga practitioners, and by applying a suitable statistical tool, he compared, and significant difference was found between the variables compared in between practitioners and non-practitioners. Ladies and gentlemen, one more thing I would like to add in this session. Several clinical studies, several research studies have been conducted on yoga, and nowadays we are facing COVID-19 pandemic, and in this pandemic there is a need to get the knowledge of the practices which are beneficial to improve our immunity. And we know that there are two types of immunities. One is innate immunity and another is acquired immunity. And that acquired immunity depends on only two factors. First one is if we are exposed by a disease, then we develop acquired immunity. Second one is by the help of vaccination. So the process of vaccination is going on, and we may get acquired immunity by the vaccination. But on the other hand, the innate immunity depends on several factors. Innate immunity depends on various factors play a vital role in innate immunity. For example, leukocytes, our white blood cells, our granulocytes, all types of granulocytes, that is neutrophils, basophils, and eosinophils. So several studies has been conducted on the effect of yogic practices on innate immunity, and results revealed that by practicing yoga we may develop innate immunity. And the study was the various studies, not only one, but several studies have been conducted on by taking different variables, by taking leukocytes, neutrophils, basophils, etc. And results showed that yes, significant improvement takes place in leukocyte, neutrophils, and basophils after practicing yoga. But one important suggestion given by the experts, the suggestion was key. If we include 3 different types of practices in our yoga schedule, that is, we should not depend on a single type of practice. Our training session, our practice session should include 3 practices from the field of yoga. Since there are different limbs of yoga, our session should include asanas, different postures. Our session should include respiratory practices, that is pranayama. Our session should include meditation. So if we uh, uh, prepare our training schedule or a yogic session by including all these three asanas, pranayama, and meditation, the results will be optimum. So, especially in case of improvement of immunity. So, we should include all these three types of practices. Again, I express my sincere thanks to the organizers and congratulate all four presenters. I congratulate Mrs. Leela John, Dr. Vikas Mishra ji, Shri Nitesh Sharma ji, or Uma Shankar Kaushik ji for their presentation. We all are highly benefited by their presentations. I also learned a lot. So, sincere thanks to you. Over to the organizers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful, for your presence with us, such a wonderful presence with us, which made the whole session very astonishing for us, thereby concluding overall session in an informative manner. Thank you so much, sir. Now, it's time to wind up our today's session, and for which I would like to invite Dr. Divya Sharma, HOD Education Department, Vipra Mahavidyalaya, for the vote of thanks. Ma'am, over to you. Divya, ma'am.
I'm so sorry, I didn't see the mute.
Yes, ma'am, you are muted.
I'm
Yes,
so
ma'am.
sorry.
Yes,
Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to thank the Honorable Governor of Chhattisgarh, Sushri Anusuya Uike ji, who inaugurated our international webinar and graced the occasion with her presence. Thank you. I convey my regards and thanks to Honorable Governor ma'am. I further thank the Vice Chancellor of our affiliating university, Professor Kesari Lal Verma Sir, Pandit Ravi Shankar Shukla University, and the Registrar, Dr. Girish Kant Pandey Sir, who supported us in every possible way. I convey my regards and thanks to the Vice Chancellor and the Registrar of the affiliating university. I would like to thank the chairperson of the day, Professor Rajiv Chaudhary Sir, Dean Student Welfare, Head Law and Professor Physical Education, Adjunct Faculty, Raksha Vishwavidyalaya, who devoted his valuable time and in spite of having a very extremely hectic schedule, he accepted our invitation and concluded the sessions very effectively. Thank you so much, sir. I further thank and our resource persons of the day, Mrs. Laila Jones and Dr. Vikas Mishra, who accepted our invitation and devoted their valuable time. They presented the very significant and noteworthy informative sessions they shared. They rendered the very informative sessions with us. Thank you so very much to Dr. Vikas Mishra ji and Mrs. Laila Jones. Thank you, madam. I would like to thank the chairman of the Vipra Shikshan Samiti, Shri Ganesh Sharma sir, the principal of the institute, Dr. Meghesh Tiwari sir, and the mentor and advisor of the institute, Professor Usha Dubey ma'am, who continuously motivates and encourages us, whose motivation gives us courage to make more and more effort. Thank you so very much. I further thank all the presenters and the participants, the HODs of different departments, Mr. Mohesh Srivastav, Dr. Vivek Sharma sir. I thank every single unit of the college without whose support this webinar wouldn't have imagined. The technical team of any of the webinar, as we are gathering over here in a virtual platform, the technical assistance, without the technical assistance, it cannot be imagined. I thank Mr. Mohesh Srivastav and his team, Mr. Harsh Sharma, for providing such a wonderful technical assistance and help. Thank you so very much. And I thank all the units, all the every single unit who supported us directly and indirectly to make this webinar successful. Thank you very much. And with these words, with due permission of our principal sir, I would like to announce the closing of this second day of this international webinar. Thank you so very much.
I would like to inform all the participants that tomorrow Thursday session will be also starting at sharp 9 a.m. So do stay join us and stay connected with us and updated through our Vipra College YouTube channel. Subscribe so that you can get the complete information about our webinars and the upcoming webinars also. So stay connected with us, stay updated with us, thereby subscribing our YouTube channel of Vipra College. Thank you all of you.